Hey guys, welcome to hashtag straight poop. I got ribs, St. Louis ribs for you. It's a spare rib from pork, the chine bone's removed, the brisket part of it's removed. And then all we gotta do is take off some of the fat and remove the membrane, if there is one, if they didn't do it in the packing house. But besides that, that's our pledge to you, that we're bringing you every type of pork and beef rib there is. So join us in the kitchen. We're gonna prepare them, then we're gonna go outside, okay? So hang loose, poopers. Thanks for joining us here on hashtag straight poop. We'll be right back. Hey, in our pledge and promise to you guys, I said I would bring out every pork and beef rib there is. This is a St. Louis rib, okay? It's a spare rib. They removed the chine bone, and the chine bones I'm going to display for you guys later in another video are the rib tips. This is part of the brisket. And again, yes, it's a pig. It also has a brisket. And if you were to dissect humans, you'd probably find a brisket on us too, okay? So, if you're in a packing plant, you got the meat cutters and the butchers with like a hook, like Captain Hook, a pirate. And as the slabs go by, they grab the membrane and try to get it all off, okay? Well, here they did us a favor. They got most of it off. From here to here is the remaining membrane. There's some underneath here, but I'm not removing this meat, okay? It's not necessary. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna try and get, yeah, there we go. I'm gonna get my utensil and get it underneath like this. Then I'm gonna grab it. My best way is to go thumb or finger, move it that way. Then get this, okay? So like I said, it's under the meat. That's the best I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. This fat here, I try to scrape it away with my fingers, all right? That's all you gotta do. You can use a knife, but it's easier doing it this way, okay? And you're not gonna cut anybody. And you're not gonna slip, it's not gonna cut you. But with a glove, man, and yeah, sometimes I don't wear gloves. Most of the time I do. So it's a case of don't do as I say, don't do as I do. You know how that goes? So just try to clean that up as best you can, okay? It's gonna render, for sure, because we're cooking at 220 degrees, all right? Okay, so what are we doing here besides playing with our ribs? Getting that greasy thing off. I got a mixture. I'm not using a rub, okay? Because as many rib recipes as I'm bringing you guys, there's alternatives. You want a rub recipe? You could go to my cookbook and there's about a dozen of them. All right, I'm not gonna display a dozen recipes when you have access to a free cookbook, okay? What I am gonna do is show you alternatives. I have hoisin sauce, very, very little sugar, okay? I don't want anything burning. I also got a combination of medicated roasted sesame oil, and I've used that before, and I also have cannabis oil. I have salt and pepper and lemon juice. That's it. I'm gonna brush it on. This is easy, man. A few simple ingredients like this, and I don't need a rub. I'm using a wet paste. Let's put it, a paste is wet, of course, but this is more like a liquid, I guess. Technically a liquid, but it has everything we need that we want to flavor this up, okay? Now, what I'm gonna also do when these are ready and get them off the grill, I'm gonna make another batch of this and I'm gonna put it on the ribs when they're ready. Now, I'm not using this stuff left over, so I'm not gonna need to bring it to a boil in a saucepan. Okay, I'm gonna try to use as much of this as possible here. Then I'm gonna dump it because I don't need it. I'm gonna make another batch. Okay, so I'm gonna hold on to here and hopefully this stays. There we go. And hopefully I still have a pretty decent camera shot. Yeah, I guess so. Level that off for you. Okay, great. And we're just going to do the other side. Now, these weigh about, it was 3.26, so 3¼ pounds. Okay, I'm going to do them for about 3.5 hours, 220 degrees. Okay, and then we're going to see. And then at that point, I'm going to turn them over and cook them another ½ hour. Okay, just to make sure that this fat here and some of this fat renders too. It will. Okay, but yeah, St. Louis ribs, if you're north of our border, sometimes they call them Canadian baby backs. Okay, I've done barbecue contests where they came in from Canada or north like Minnesota and they're like, these are Canadian baby backs. Okay, well, there's St. Louis ribs here. All right, here we go. And I'm doing a video on spare ribs and everything, okay? All right, man, you know what? We got the pit lit, so this is going out there. And why don't you take a look at one of our pro tips? It's a chart we put together from our cookbook, okay? And we'll meet you outside. Larry's pro tip. Enjoy. Hey poopers, welcome back to #StraightPoop. Got the box all the way down. Got a switch down there. Got a mix of hickory and oak hardwood charcoal. This is our St. Louis rib, okay? He's gonna be on here. He weighed like 3.2 something. I don't remember, something like that. He's gonna be out here for about 3 hours, 15, 20, 30 minutes. I'm gonna check him out. Last ½ hour, I'm gonna turn him over, make sure all this fat is rendered. Okay, and then we'll bring him inside and show him to you. And like I said, I'm gonna make that brushed marinade that I put on there. Making a new batch. I don't have to boil it because it didn't touch a contaminated brush or anything, any meat. So anyway, that's where we're at. Let this guy do his thing. My Cajun grill knows what to do. So let's have him do his job. He's plenty well paid. Okay? All right, meet us inside. Hey poopers, what am I doing here? All-purpose food service, food grade sprayer. I used to do this for barbecue competitions. I've got apple wine, sweet apple wine. And this is a tip that I turn into a chart for you guys as a pro tip. But I wanted to show you this live. Sweet apple wine. Spray. Close the lid. I do this every about ½ hour. Okay, just wanted to illustrate that for you. Meet us inside when this is ready. Hey, welcome back poopers. These are our St. Louis ribs. I glazed them. I put them under the broiler, which I always do unless I'm doing a dry rib. And just glazed, get that caramelized, you know, because of the sugars and the brown sugars in the sauce and, you know, cannabis oil and things like that. So that's what we got, man. You can really tell they're done because look at the bones. Look how the meat came away from the bones. That's exactly what you want. It's a good time or tell that the ribs are done perfectly. Okay, I did my pinch test between the bones, the meat, came out clean. Great, great ribs, man. And we're gonna bring you spare ribs, rib tips, some Hawaiian back ribs, and everything else I think we brought to you guys. I think there's 8 of them, pork and beef ribs. And like I said, nobody else on YouTube or anywhere else is giving you that info, but I couldn't do this series by pulling off something half-assed. And it would be half-assed by not showing you everything, okay? And that's what, you know, 150, 170, 200 videos do, okay? Gives me the privilege of bringing stuff to you, first class, okay? So on that note, poopers, I've got several barbecue rib recipes in the cookbook. As of last week, the link worked. If the link doesn't work, email me. My address is at the description page. Okay, poopers, thanks for joining us again on #StraightPoop. My dogs love having you here. Me, 90% of the time, I like having you here too. So, besides that, poopers, you're waiting on us. You're loafing. Hang loose.